Okay, in this part of our chapter, we're going to be working with evaluating expressions that involve cubed roots. So we have to review really quickly that when we're working through equations that involve more than one step, that we must follow our orders of operation or our PEMDAS. So our P represents parentheses or other symbols of inclusion. Our E is exponents and now including roots. So we would solve any square roots, cubed roots, or any other root beyond that. Then we multiply and divide from left to right, and then add and subtract from left to right. Okay, so let's go ahead and work through this first equation. So we have 2. Now, no symbol in between here means that we're actually multiplying. So it's going to be 2 times the cubed root of negative 216 minus 3. So we have no parentheses, so we're done with that. We now need to look for exponents and roots, and we have one right here. So we need to find what number times itself 3 times would give us negative 216. Now, because this negative is involved, I know in this situation it's going to be a negative number because I have to have a negative in there. Okay, whoops. So if I go through and find a number that I could take times 216, I'm just going to do trial and error, so I might try 8. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 8 times 8 times 8. And when I do that, I get 512. So that's way too big. So 8 to the third power is 512. That's way too big. So let's maybe try 4. 4 times 4 times 4 gives me 64. That's too low. Okay, so then it has to be a number between those. I'm going to try maybe 6. 6 times 6 times 6 gives me exactly 216. Okay, so because that negative was involved, this is going to be a negative 6. I'm going to bring everything else down. So now bring down my negative 3 and my 2. Now I'm going to throw that 2 in a parenthesis now because I want to remember that it's not 2 minus 6. It's actually 2 times a negative 6. Or maybe I should have put the negative 6 in a parenthesis. We'll just put them both in there. So 2 times negative 6 gives me negative 12 minus 3 gives me negative 15. Okay, so once again, no symbol between a root symbol, a radical symbol, and a number means that you're multiplying. All right, so let's go ahead and try another one. Okay, so here we've got in parentheses the third root of 125 to the power of 3, or the exponent of 3, plus 21. So let's discuss really quickly. On this one, anytime you have the same root and to an exponent of the same, they really cancel each other out. If I did the square root of 25, remember square root is the same as having a 2 out there, and then I squared that answer, I'm just going to show you to prove to you that they really cancel each other out. So if I were to go through and do the square root of 25, that would give me 5. If I then took that times itself or squared it, it's going to take me back to 25. So these two really canceled themselves out. So this would be my answer. So these two cancel each other out, which means this parenthesis is 125. Yes, we could go through the steps, but if you know that a cubed root and to the power of 3 cancel each other out, it saves you a lot of time. Now, the only other thing I have is plus 21. So now if I add those, 125 plus 21 gives me 146. Okay, so the most important things here, remember now that you are working orders of operation, that your roots actually fall into that same location as exponents. Okay, so solving for the radical is going to fall into that step of where you have exponents right here. And also, if you don't have a symbol between a number and a radical symbol, it means that we're actually multiplying. So if you need to, you can put a multiplication symbol in there. Okay, so we need to find, we don't have any parentheses. Do we have roots and exponents? Yes, we do. So we're going to start here. Okay, so then we're going to have 5 times whatever we get, and then a minus 19. I'm just going to bring all that down right now. Okay, so I need to find a number times itself 3 times that gives me 512. So I'm going to start with 8 again. 8 times 8 times 8 gives me 512. And the reason I knew to start with 8 is because I couldn't remember for sure what it was because I have short-term memory, it seems like. But I did remember that it was a higher number. So 8 to the power of 3 gives me 512. So the third root of 512 is 8. Okay, now following orders of operation, do I have any multiplying or dividing? Yes, I do. So we need to solve this. 5 times 8 is 40, minus 19. So 40 minus 19 gives me 21. So we get 21 for that one. All right, so I'm going to slide one out here. I want you guys to try it and then check your answer. All right, try this one out. Try actually these two out. So I'll enlarge them a little bit. Okay, so remember, you're going to check to see if there's any parentheses. If there are, you're going to solve those. Then check to see if there's any exponents or roots. Okay, remember, if you have a radical that has the same number as a root or an exponent, those will cancel each other out. All right, so you should have gotten 10 for the first one and negative 21 for the second one. Once again, don't forget, when you have a no symbol between a number and a radical sign, it means that you are multiplying.